The New Orleans Saints just aced day 3 of the NFL draft, getting some very good sleeper draft picks in these later rounds of the NFL draft. And let's give a round of applause to the New Orleans Saints and Mickey Loomis for making every single one of their picks. They had 9 picks coming into the draft and they made all 9. They didn't make any trades, they didn't trade up or give up anything in the future. Good for them. And overall, I like the Saints 2025 draft class. We'll talk more about them as a whole in a near future video, but today I want to talk about the Saints day 3 draft picks for now. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for more NFL and Saints content. We're trying to hit 10K this year. Help support the channel, subscribe, like the video, and let's dive into these day 3 picks for the Saints. The first pick for the Saints on day 3 in the 4th round with the 112th pick was Oklahoma linebacker Danny Stutsman, and this was a really good pick for the Saints. Linebacker was quietly a need for the Saints. Demario Davis is getting up there in age, and Pete Warner, he's okay, he's solid, he's not flashy, and he has a history of missing some time. And outside of those two guys, there really is no depth at linebacker. I like Nephi Sewell, but outside of that, there really isn't a whole lot there. Stutsman coming into the draft was rated by many NFL analysts and people covering the draft as a top 3 to 5 linebacker in the 2025 draft class. He ended up being the 6th linebacker taken, so just outside of that range, but this guy is really damn good. And no, I'm not just gassing him up because my favorite team picked him. Many thought this guy was one of the better linebackers in the draft, and one of the coaches who he went up against in college had this to say about him. That guy, Stutsman, was the best player on the field on both sides of the ball for them. He made every single play. He's got swagger, he's got juice, he can run, chase, get off blocks, and he can blitz. He's an every down backer. He'll be a draft pick for sure. This is a pretty strong quote from an opposing team about a linebacker, and you gotta love it. Just like the Saints' Jonas Sanker pick on day 2, Stutsman is a tackling machine, having 3 years with 100 or more tackles. And I'm happy now that the Saints have guys on the defense who can make tackles, because we saw just how badly the tackling was last year. Something else that stands out, he was a team captain in college and a leader, which seems to be a consistent theme with the Saints picks this year. They need some younger guys who can be leaders in the foundation for the future, and it kind of seems like the Saints are kind of setting it up that way with these leader team captain draft picks. Adding onto the tackling machine comment though, Stutsman had some pretty damn impressive tackles for loss numbers. Stutsman since 2022 had 34 tackles for a loss / no gains on the play, which was first. 86 run stops first. 87.6 run defense grade was 5th. Clearly a guy who the Saints saw tackling machine, a linebacker who can help out a Saints run defense that was putrid last year. Stutsman was a 2nd team Associated Press All-American, a 1st team All-SEC, and a Butt Kiss Award finalist. A pretty damn good resume for a 4th round pick. Definitely a sleeper pick for the Saints. And just another quick look at his resume: 376 career tackles, 37 career tackles for a loss, 4 forced fumbles, 1st team All-SEC last year, and a consensus All-American last year. An absolute beast for the Saints in the 4th round. And just looking at this clip, this dude is an absolute psycho. And you know that the linebacker is going to be very good when they're wearing a neck pad. Don't even need to watch the tape. You know they're going to be good when they have that neck pad. He does have some concerns in areas in pass coverage that need to be improved upon, but I think this is more of a pick that the Saints really want to help stop the run and prevent other teams from running the ball all over them. I like the pick. Ideally, he's a linebacker 3, getting rotational snaps in with Demario and Pete Warner, and I'm hoping he'll be playing by week 1. And one final thing, his personality is going to be bringing the juice. He had a funny Instagram caption saying, "I'm like communion, that cracker with the juice." And I think the Saints needed a guy on defense with some energy to him, and this is definitely that kind of guy for sure. I mean, just look at this clip alone. The dude is a psychopath. And then we also got a really cool moment from him as well right here. Not going to play the clip, but he gave $50,000 of his NIL money to 18 walk-ons for all their hard work and dedication. Absolutely incredible, showing his leadership. Really cool to see a guy with this kind of personality and kind of embracing this role as a leader. So young, and the Saints took him, and the Saints need guys in the building to be the foundation for the future, and he's definitely someone who fits that mold. The Saints' second pick on day 3 was cornerback Quincy Riley out of Louisville. Yeah, he was a teammate with the Saints quarterback from the second round, Tyler Shuck. I was kind of shocked that the Saints took this long to address the cornerback position, which was viewed as a big need after losing Paulson Adebo in free agency. Funny enough though, the Saints picked Quincy Riley with the draft pick they got from the Washington Commanders in the Marshawn Lattimore trade. Now when you take a cornerback in the 4th round, expectations tend to be pretty low, but Quincy Riley was a guy projected to be a top 10 corner picked in this year's NFL draft, and a lot of people were surprised that he made it as far as he did. And that includes Saints general manager Mickey Loomis saying it was probably a bit of surprise that he was available when they took him, talking about cornerback Quincy Riley. Clearly they had him higher on their board than a lot of other teams. Now Quincy Riley could definitely be a potential starter for the Saints in the future, or at the bare minimum be a very good backup, but given the Saints cornerback room, he's probably going to be seeing the field early in his career. And I do really like this pick because the Saints don't really have a ball hawk or a playmaker or a guy who attacks the football in that secondary. That was Paulson Adebo. Then he signed with the Giants. Tyrann Mathieu's like that, but they need a corner like that, and Quincy Riley is a ball hawk. Many people know him as a guy who can attack and play the ball very well in the air and high point the ball and make a play. In 3 seasons with Louisville, he had 8 interceptions, 21 pass breakups, and allowed a 42.8% completion percentage. That's real impressive. Allowed 900 yards in 3 years. That's 300 yards per season. Very impressive, and only allowed 4 touchdowns. Really impressive for a guy who the Saints got in the 4th round. Now there is a concern with him that he is a little bit undersized. He's 5'10", but despite that though, he's still a pretty dang good athlete, which you can see when you watch the tape. Quincy Riley does have the ability to play outside corner or in the nickel in the slot. He can do both of those things pretty well, adding some flexibility to the Saints cornerback room with Alontae Taylor. Something to keep an eye on though is that he's turning 24, which is pretty old for a rookie. Does that mean he's kind of reached his ceiling and the untapped potential isn't there, and the player you're getting on film is who you're getting, which is a good player, but there of course could definitely be improvements. He's going to be 24 years old. Is he a guy who can definitely improve year by year, or is the guy you're getting going to be the guy you get from now on every single week? How he may not even have to improve. Maybe the untapped potential doesn't need to be there. When you're out there making plays like this every week, good job moving his hips right there. Breaking up that pass on the outside, covering those routes are real difficult. There he is at the top of the screen. Let's see him on this play. Man in motion, follows him in man coverage, and makes a really good tackle right there. A lot of corners are not able to make that play, but he makes it right there. Right here, this is a good job. Makes contact and jumps the ball. That could get him into some trouble though. If he's trying to jump these routes, someone's going to take advantage of that, and he's got to be careful with doing that. But the Saints definitely did get a stud. He forced 23 incompletions since 2023, which is second amongst cornerbacks. That's definitely impressive. That means when the ball's thrown his way, he's making a play. And when it comes to the lowest passer ratings allowed in single coverage in FBS since 2014 at cornerback position, only Sauce Gardner was better than him. That says a lot for sure. The resume is impressive. His size is a little concerning, but this is a guy who I think can definitely see the field very early on for the Saints and get playing time, possibly day 1. Now the Saints did not have a 5th round pick, but their 6th round pick might have been one of the best that they made, and it was running back Devin Neal out of Kansas. Absolutely love this pick. The Saints needed a playmaker very badly. They didn't get one in the first few rounds of the NFL draft, and they took Devin Neal with the 6th round pick, and man oh man was this an absolute great pick. This is a deep running back class, and the Saints got a guy who probably should have been gone in the 3rd or 4th round, but since it was a deep running back class, he got pushed out a little bit. The Saints got a playmaker who can come in and be productive as a 6th round pick. That is very important and impressive. 6th round picks usually aren't productive. This guy might be the 2nd best running back on the team right now, and that's just being honest. Devin Neal had big production at Kansas in college. Last year in 2024, he rushed for 1,200 yards and 16 touchdowns, catching 24 passes for 250 yards with another touchdown. That is definitely really big production, and it's crazy he didn't get more attention and that he made it to the 6th round. I mean, the dude had 3 straight seasons in college with 1,000 rushing yards. It's crazy to me that the dude did not get picked earlier. Not only was he consistent and productive, but the guy was reliable and only missed one game, not due to an injury but with an opt-out. Played 49 of 50 games in college, had 49 career touchdowns, and played in 49 games. That's 1 touchdown a game, had 17 in each of the last 2 seasons. This dude's an absolute beast. Many of you didn't think running back was a need for the Saints, but it definitely was. Outside of Alvin Kamara, they had nobody behind him, and if he was to miss time, well, they were missing a running back. Kendre Miller for sure has talent, but is not reliable, and the Saints drafting Devin Neal definitely puts him on notice. Could he possibly be a cut candidate come August? Clyde Edwards-Helaire is on the roster, but ideally he's not your number 2 or even number 3 running back. And they did sign Velus Jones, but he needs to make the team before we can even count him as an option. So getting Devin Neal to come in and complement and be a 1-2 punch with Alvin Kamara, I'm really excited about this pick. This might be one of my favorite picks of the entire draft. I'm still figuring that out. The Saints were in desperate need of playmakers, and they got a really good one in Devin Neal. Now, he's not the fastest guy, but he's a guy who will get you 10 to 15 yards consistently and pretty damn often. He's shifty, he'll juke you out, and he'll make you look silly. We even had the Kansas official Twitter account tweeting at Saints fans saying he's Kansas' all-time leading rusher. Insane. Has the most rushing touchdowns in their school history. Crazy. Most rushing yards, most scrimmage yards, and most 100-yard games rushing in Kansas football history. Absolute monster of a pick. I have no idea how he fell to the 6th round. An absolute steal, possibly one of the biggest steals of the draft. And again, a consistent theme. He was a team captain for Kansas, a leader, something we've been seeing with a lot of these Saints draft picks. Now, something he does need to improve on is being a bigger factor in the receiving game, but since he's on the Saints, he doesn't really have to worry about that because the team has Alvin Kamara, so he can work on that while also getting in reps early on. I'm really excited to see how Devin Neal turns out for the Saints under Kellen Moore and his scheme behind a hopefully much improved offensive line. Now with the Saints' second to last pick, they took tight end Moliki Matavao. I hope I said his name right. Moliki Matavao was the first and only pass catcher who the Saints drafted, which was somewhat a little disappointing. I was hoping they would draft a pass catcher, but he's going to come in and compete for a spot in the tight end room that has Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, Dallin Holker, and Jack Stoll. Now there is some room right there for that number 3 tight end spot if you can come in and showcase that he deserves a roster spot. He's the right prototype, he has the right size, he's a pretty decent blocker, but he does have some things to improve on, so I'm curious to see how he will fit in under Kellen Moore's offense. In 4 seasons in college, he had 74 catches for 998 yards and 6 touchdowns, but most of that coming in 2024 at UCLA, where he led the team in receiving yards, putting up 506 yards on 41 catches with 2 touchdowns. And the Saints' final pick of the 2025 NFL Draft was Syracuse edge rusher Fadil Diggs. And honestly, I think this is a pretty solid pick. I was hoping they would have taken Andrew Armstrong, but I'm okay with this selection. Diggs had 7.5 sacks last season for Syracuse after only having 8 sacks in 4 previous seasons at Texas A&M. He's got good size, he's got really good speed for as big as he is, and he fits what Brandon Staley wants to do on defense, which is now a 3-4. And you guessed it, just like many of the other picks, who is a team captain, a consistent theme we've seen throughout the entire draft for the Saints. Edge rusher was definitely a need for the Saints. It was a thin room, and now we're going to see if Diggs can come in and compete for a spot and make the roster, but I'm curious to see how he fits in with the Brandon Staley system for sure. I like the selection, especially this late in the draft. Overall, I think the Saints did a pretty damn good job on day 3, getting multiple steals and sleepers in the later rounds of the NFL draft. And I think they even got guys on day 3 who can come in and be contributors pretty early on, and that's pretty rare to say. You can't always say that about day 3 selections. Let me know your thoughts on the Saints day 3 picks down in the comments below. We're going to be talking more about the Saints draft class, the undrafted guys, in the upcoming days, so make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all NFL and Saints content. My name's Cash, and I hope you have a good one. Peace.